They put my is this making a lot, is this, am I talking too close?
I think it's like that.
I should hold it like this. Okay, I don't want to boom out there. They made my cameo very brief, and they put it at the end of the movie where some people were apt to not see it. So if somebody misses my cameo, what does he do, or she? They go and buy another ticket and sit through the movie again because they don't want to miss it.
Yes! That's the party right there.
So I figured that half of the sales of the Avenger were due to me. It's very obvious. I shouldn't have to tell you. I'm sure you're all aware of that. And with the X-Men, I couldn't think of what the hell to do, so I took the cowardly way out, and I said they were born that way. So that's really the extent of my scientific knowledge, although I'm happy to take credit for whatever comes of that. Oh boy, greed! I don't know. I don't know how much of an inspiration it was. I was sitting around looking for a new superhero, and I couldn't. You know, the whole thing you need when you come up with a new superhero is you got to figure out what power will you give him. So we already had a guy who could burst into flame and fly. We had somebody who was the strongest guy. On and on. I thought, what's left? And you know, I've told this story to people so often that for all I know, it might even be true. But I was looking around and I saw a fly on the wall. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be a great idea to get a guy who can walk on walls? So that was it. But then I needed a name. So I figured I'll call him Insect Man, but that didn't sound dramatic. Mosquito Man, that didn't have it. And I went down the list and suddenly I said, Spider-Man. Oh man, you can't beat that. And so a legend was born.
Hey, happy 50th anniversary to that.
That's right, happy 50th, Spidey. Oh, I love them. I love doing them. I tell you the funniest thing. Somebody wrote about me in some magazine, and I guess for the people who didn't know who I was, they wrote what I am and what I do at the top, and they said, Stan Lee, actor, writer, comic book, but they said actor first, so all of a sudden I'm an actor, so you better, pay attention and give me the respect that is due me. And if you all are as friendly as you seem to be, because I think a lot of you are just putting it on. But if you are, I want you all to write to the Academy, the Motion Picture Academy, and tell them that it's shameful that they don't have an award for the best cameo of the year. Now, don't let me down.
Legacy of comics, is there anything that you would change about any characters you've created? Is there anything you would change about any of those characters?
Honestly, I don't think I would. I did them the way I wanted them to be, and they came out the way I wanted them to be, so I have no reason to want to change them. Now, I will admit, when other writers take over the series, they like to put their own imprimatur on the stories, and they'll usually make a lot of changes, but that's okay with me. They have every right to do that. But as far as I'm concerned, I did them the way I did them. I think they were truly works of genius, and I wouldn't want to change them.
Did you say Tony Stark? It's a question from Tony Stark.
This question is for Tony Stark or from Tony? From Tony Stark. Oh, I better pay attention.
I just want to know if you had anything to say to people trying to get into the comic business. What would your advice be?
Is everybody whispering, or have I gone stone deaf?
The mics are a little weak.
That is the toughest question I could get. We could be here all night, and I wouldn't know what to tell you. If you want to be a comic book writer, it's incredibly difficult, unless you're already a professional writer, because so many people want to write the comics now because they figure if I write a story and they make it into a movie, I'll make a lot of money. So you have people who wouldn't consider writing for comics years ago, people who are novelists, who are screenwriters, who are television writers, and the top comic book writers. They're all writing the stories, so it is so difficult for a newcomer to break in unless that newcomer already has credits as a good writer in some other field. If you're an artist, it's easier, but it's tough. It's tough because you have to be at least as good as the good artists at Marvel. Because if you're not as good as they are, what do they need you for? They've already got the artists. So you have to show them art samples that'll knock their eye out. Oh man, I never saw anything like this, what a great style. But if it's just nice artwork, that's not enough. So it really is not easy to break into the comic book business, but yet there are a lot of great new artists coming along. I see them all the time in the Marvel books, so if you're one of those great new ones, be sure you bring your stuff up there. If you're a writer, I don't want to discourage you, I just want to let you know it's really difficult, and it's easier if you can make a little reputation writing other stuff. If you can have a story printed somewhere in a magazine or sell some sort of a television play or something. So then the editors at least know you're a professional and they'll read what you submit. Otherwise, they generally don't even have time. Let me tell you, Deadpool is such a popular character that I would be very surprised if he doesn't appear in a movie sooner or later. Either as a character in another hero's movie or possibly by himself. I think with some characters, they feel at Marvel the best thing to do is introduce them in another movie, like in a Captain America or Thor or Hulk or something movie, and then when we see how popular they are, spin him off into his own movie. But those things have not yet been decided. Right now, they have so many things they're working on. They're thinking about a Doctor Strange movie, a Black Panther movie, an Ant-Man movie. There are so many things in the works. They just don't have enough time to do all the movies they want to do. And of course, then we need all the sequels, like a new Avengers and a new Iron Man and so forth.
Are you an investigative journalist?
I can't make it funny, I'm just going to tell you the truth. This will surprise the hell out of you, but I am not a businessman. And as president of Marvel, I had to act like a businessman. I had to go to long meetings where they discuss their 5-year plan. Now, I'm a guy who doesn't know what he's going to have for dinner tonight, but I got to think 5 years ahead for Marvel. And I wouldn't mind if they were planning what characters will we do in 5 years. But they were talking budget and finance and expenses, and I don't know that kind of stuff. So I didn't enjoy being a businessman. So that's why I resigned as president, and it's probably a good thing, because no sooner did I resign than they started making more money than ever.
Did you ever wish in those meetings you could turn into? Did you ever wish in those meetings you could turn into the Hulk?
No, you see, I shouldn't say this to you. I shouldn't say it in public, but I don't really believe in all these characters the way some people do. You see, there's a word called fiction. But I shouldn't say that, that may break some hearts in the audience. Make believe you hadn't heard that.
They're all real. Go ahead, sir.
I was just wondering, why did you decide on the pen name Stan Lee?
Oh. You know, that's very funny. I used to have a real name. My name was Stanley Martin Lieber. And I used to practice signing it. It looked so good. I had a great signature. It looked like it belonged on the bottom of the Declaration of Independence. And I was proud of it. But when I started writing comics, oh, that was way back in 40 something. Nobody had any respect for comics. And frankly, I was embarrassed to tell people what I did. I'd go to a party, and somebody would come over to me and say, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" And I knew what to expect, so I'd say, "Well, I'm a writer," and I'd start to walk away. But they'd follow me. "Really, what do you write?" I'd say, "Well, stuff for children," and I'd walk a little further. "Really, what kind of stuff?" Sooner or later, I had to say comic books, and they would turn around and walk away from me as though I had the plague. So, I might add, incidentally, today it's different. Today I'm at a party, somebody will see me and say, "Excuse me, President Obama, but I gotta go talk to Stanley." But that didn't answer the question yet. So I was so embarrassed doing comics that I didn't want to use my real name because I thought someday I would write the great American novelist, Stanley Lieber. So I cut my first name in half and I made it Stan Lee. But as I stayed in the business and the books became well known and they started selling and the name Stan Lee became well known, finally I really had to change it legally to Stan Lee because that's the name everybody knew me as. And it's really a dumb name. I wish I could change it back, but it's too late now.
Do you all like the name?
But then I won't change it on account of you. You gotta wrap up. Is there anything else I want to say? No, I didn't even want to say what I did say.
Your birthday's coming up in December. Anything in particular you want?
Oh, I hate birthdays. I tell you why I hate birthdays. Or any holidays. I am a compulsive answerer. Somebody sends me an email or a letter, I feel I've got to answer. On my birthday, I get so many birthday cards. You can't, and a guy writes a whole message on it. You can't just throw it away, but I haven't got the time to answer it. So, anybody here that is impressed with my birthday, just think a nice thought, but please don't write to me, because I don't have time to answer.
How about we do stand an early happy birthday on 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday!
Thank you. Hey, I gotta tell you, you're the greatest audience I ever spoke to. Thanks for putting up with